And meanwhile, Iran has agreed to deepen our coordination as we work to locate Robert Levinson, missing from Iran for more than 8 years. Even as we rejoice in the safe return of others, we will never forget about Bob. Each and every day, but especially today, our hearts are with the Levinson family, and we will not rest until their family is whole again.
All right. Joining us again on the panel, welcome back, folks. Brent Budowsky, Tom Tancredo, Congressman. I'm trying to I'm trying to stay calm here. It's very difficult because the family of Bob Levinson has said they were not told about the release or the swap. They were not told about the fact that their husband, their loved one was not coming home. They knew nothing about this till they saw this on television. What the hell's going on in this White House?
Well, I wish I could elucidate there. I wish I could tell you exactly what's going on in the White House, except that we recognize that the relationship between the Obama administration and Iran now he is trying to solidify it in every way possible. He's paid the greatest ransom in world history, I think, for the people that have been released, $100 billion. You know, we have to recognize that this is all part of an attempt on the part of Obama to really change the politics of the Middle East and in the world. But these idiotic things he does in terms of the relationships here in the United States and how he treats these people whose families are affected by the actions of the Iranians, it's unexplainable. It's certainly unconscionable.
Brent, let me throw something by Brent. I'll tell you something, Brent. Not only did he not tell the Jewish family anything, okay, but in the 14 people that Interpol has been after are included in the ones that Obama has now convinced them as part of this deal to stay away from and pardon and not go after anymore, the bombers of the Jewish center in Argentina that killed over 80 and wounded over 100. One of the worst bombings in Argentina's history. So again, a Jewish angle. What is with this president?
Well, I don't think there's any Jewish angle. I'll say that. I think that has nothing to do with it. If it were my call, I would not have done any nuclear agreement unless the hostages were all freed without any conditions and without any trade-off. That would have been my call. I think the nuclear agreement is better to have had than not. Number one, I think it has to be enforced and vigorously, carefully monitored. Number two, I would note that Obama did slap sanctions on Iran the day after the nuclear agreement because of the ballistic missile testing. And I think that is a good sign. That was the right thing to do.
Yeah, well, too little, too late.
It was.
All right, guys, I want to get to two issues right here real quick in the next 3 minutes. Congressman, the Supreme Court has agreed to hear the immigration executive order case that the lower courts have said is unconstitutional. I know it's stupid to try to ask this question, but I'll ask it. What do you think is going to happen when the Supreme Court hears it?
Well, I can't, again, I can't imagine that they won't look at this and say, look, there's one thing to say that there's deferred action, meaning someone's done something illegal, I know, but we haven't the resources to deal with it. The other is saying, not only have they done something illegal, but we're going to reward them for it. We're going to actually give them work permits. We're going to move them into a separate category of immigration. That, Steve, is a law. You can't do that by executive action. I can't imagine the Supreme Court would allow.
What about it, Brent?
Well, I predict a 5-4 vote, but I can't pick which way the fifth vote goes.
Yeah.
Number two, I am a devout supporter and believer and allied with Pope Francis, who I think is the greatest man in the world, who has had a lot to say on immigration, all of which I agree with.
Okay, well then he could take all the would-be potential terrorists and criminals and bring them to the Vatican, with all due respect. I think we have a problem, and his intent is certainly wonderful and holy and everything devout and everything that religion would dictate. But we live in a world now where the situation isn't the same as it used to be.
No, they have to be vetted. There's no question.
Well,
about
all right.
that.
Then we agree on that. I don't want to run out of time. Let's go to. You wrote a great piece, Tom. If the mentally ill shouldn't own guns, should radical Muslims? Explain.
Yeah, sure. Look, in this country, if somebody goes into court after they've killed their daughter because she's dishonored the family and says that God made him do it, if somebody attacks a little girl, 5-6-year-old, sexually attacks them and said, God made me do it, it's okay, God said it's okay. There are a whole raft of things that are claimed like that in court that the defense goes, you know what, this is Your Honor, we claim insanity here. It's a mental illness. Well, if you do that in Sharia law, which of course, if you adhere to Sharia law, those are the things you say. God said I can do that. I'm telling you, that's prima facie evidence of mental illness, and those people should not have guns.
All right, and by the way, that article is available at Breitbart.com, and you wrote one for The Observer, Brent, which we don't have time to get into, but you did plug your other columns, so we're kind of even. Sanders winning the battle for the Roosevelt-Kennedy legacy while Hillary attacks him for it. Folks will have to check that out. We look forward to your column tonight on what we discussed earlier. Thank you both, Brent Budowsky and Congressman Tancredo. Always a great discussion. Up next, it's Gimme 5. What do you know? And you're not going to want to miss this one coming up. Don't go away.